A 32-year-old widower raising a young child alone. A 30-year-old cold CEO burying her emotions behind work. They meet under the most unexpected circumstances. At work, where she decides to give up her position to stand by him. From colleagues to secret admirers, from distance to an undeniable connection. But when love knocks, the fear of loss once again makes him hesitate. Will the old tragedy repeat itself? Or will they find a new family from the fragments of the past? Follow this story to the end. Like and comment the city you're viewing to let me know how far the story has progressed. Now, let's begin. Liam Carter sat in his car outside the office building for 20 minutes before he could make himself go inside. His hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, staring at the glass doors like they might swallow him whole. 32 years old and starting over. Again. The thought made his chest tight. He glanced at the photo taped to his dashboard. Owen, gap-toothed and grinning, holding up a drawing of the two of them. Stick figures holding hands under a crooked sun. His son had pressed it into his palm that morning, eyes serious in the way only a 6-year-old could manage. "You got this, Dad." Liam had to believe him. He checked his reflection in the rearview mirror. Tired eyes stared back. He'd been tired for 3 years now, since the day everything fell apart. Since the funeral. Since becoming a single father overnight, drowning in grief and responsibility, and the terrifying knowledge that one wrong move could cost Owen everything. The job at Hale Industries was supposed to change that. Stable, good benefits, room to grow. He'd be working in operations management. Nothing glamorous, but steady. Predictable. That was all he needed. He forced himself out of the car. The lobby was all polished marble and quiet efficiency. A receptionist smiled at him, pointed him toward the elevator. 15th floor. He stepped inside, pressed the button, and watched the numbers climb. His stomach climbed with them. The doors opened to an open-plan office, desks arranged in neat rows, people already busy at their computers. A woman in her mid-40s approached, hand extended. "Liam Carter?" "That's me." "Rachel Kim, Operations Director. Welcome aboard." Her handshake was firm, professional. "Let me show you around." She led him through the floor, introducing him to faces he immediately forgot. Marketing. Logistics. IT. Everyone nodded politely, already turning back to their screens before he'd finished saying hello. He didn't blame them. New guy. Temporary curiosity. Rachel stopped at a desk near the window. "This is yours." Computer set up, login info's on the sticky note. "We've got a team meeting at 10 to go over the quarterly projections, and then you'll shadow Mark for the rest of the day to get up to speed on current projects." "Sounds good. Any questions?" 1,000. None he could ask. "I'm good." She smiled, the kind that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Great, settle in. I'll grab you before the meeting." She walked away, heels clicking on the tile. Liam sat down, stared at his blank computer screen, and wondered what the hell he was doing. By 9:30, he'd managed to log in, skim through a dozen unread emails that meant nothing to him yet, and drink 2 cups of coffee from the break room that tasted like burnt cardboard. He was trying to decipher an email about supply chain optimization when a presence appeared beside his desk. "You're new?" He looked up. The woman standing there didn't look like she belonged on this floor. She was maybe 30, dressed in a charcoal blazer and black slacks that probably cost more than his rent, dark hair pulled back in a low ponytail. Sharp cheekbones. Darker eyes that seemed to catalog everything in a single glance. She held a tablet in one hand, stylus in the other, like she'd been in the middle of something and stopped just long enough to notice him. "First day," Liam said. "Operations?" "Yeah." She tapped the stylus against the tablet screen, eyes flicking over his desk. Empty except for the computer and a coffee mug. No photos, no personal touches. He'd been here less than 2 hours. "You settling in okay?" "Still figuring out where the bathrooms are." The corner of her mouth twitched, almost a smile. "Third door on the left, past the copy room." "Thanks." She nodded, started to turn away, then paused. "What's your name?" "Liam. Liam Carter." "Victoria." No last name. She didn't offer her hand, didn't linger. Just gave him one more unreadable look and walked toward the elevator, tablet already back in front of her face. He watched her go, then turned back to his screen. Weird. The morning passed in a blur of names, spreadsheets, and information he was expected to absorb immediately. Mark, his assigned shadow, was a balding guy in his 50s who talked too fast and expected Liam to keep up. By noon, Liam's head was pounding. "Lunch is an hour," Mark said, already heading for the elevator. "Most people go to the deli across the street. It's decent." Liam nodded, but didn't follow. He needed air more than food. He found the stairwell, climbed to the roof access, unlocked, thank God, and stepped out into the cold September wind. The city spread out below, all glass and steel and noise. He pulled out his phone, called the daycare. "Little Steps Learning Center, this is Jennifer." "Hey, it's Liam Carter, just checking in on Owen." "Oh, hi, Mr. Carter. Owen's doing great. He's in the art room right now, making what I think is supposed to be a spaceship." Liam smiled for the first time all day. "That sounds about right." "He's been asking when you're picking him up." 5:30, same as always. "Perfect. We'll see you then." He hung up, pocketed the phone, and let himself breathe. Owen was okay. That was all that mattered. He stayed on the roof until his fingers went numb, then headed back down. The office was quieter now, half the desks empty. He grabbed a granola bar from his bag, chewed it without tasting it, and tried to make sense of the project files Mark had dumped on him. At 2, Rachel appeared again. Conference room, strategy meeting. He followed her down the hall, into a glass-walled room with a long table. A dozen people were already seated, laptops open, notebooks out. He took a seat near the end, trying to be invisible. Rachel started talking, something about client acquisition and market positioning, and Liam did his best to follow along. His mind kept drifting. Owen's parent-teacher conference was next week. He still needed to schedule the car for an oil change. The electric bill was due Friday. The door opened. Victoria walked in. The room shifted. Not dramatically, no one stopped talking, no one even looked up, but there was a change in the air, a kind of sharpening. She moved to the head of the table, set down her tablet, and glanced around the room with that same cataloging look she'd given Liam earlier. Rachel stopped mid-sentence. "Ms. Hale, I didn't realize you'd be joining us." I wanted to hear the update firsthand. Ms. Hale. Liam's brain caught up slowly. Hale Industries. Victoria Hale, CEO. He'd met the CEO this morning and didn't even know it. She sat down, crossed her legs, and gestured for Rachel to continue. "Don't let me interrupt." Rachel cleared her throat, visibly flustered, and picked up where she'd left off. Liam watched Victoria from the corner of his eye. She didn't take notes, didn't ask questions, just listened, stylus tapping a slow rhythm against her tablet, expression unreadable. When Rachel finished, Victoria leaned forward slightly. "What's the timeline on the Philadelphia expansion?" "We're aiming for Q1 next year." "That's ambitious." "We think it's doable." Doable and smart aren't always the same thing. Victoria's voice was calm, measured, not unkind, but not soft either. "I want a revised proposal on my desk by Friday. Include contingency plans for if the permits don't come through on schedule." Rachel nodded quickly. "Of course." "Anything else?" No one spoke. "Good. Thank you all." Victoria stood, picked up her tablet, and walked out as smoothly as she'd entered. The room exhaled. Liam realized he'd been holding his breath. The rest of the day was a slog. By 5, his brain felt like mush. He clocked out, grabbed his jacket, and headed for the elevator. The lobby was emptying fast, everyone eager to get home. He was halfway to his car when he heard his name. "Liam!" He turned. Victoria was standing near the building entrance, coat draped over one arm, phone in her hand. She looked at him like she'd been waiting. "Yeah? You survived your first day." "Barely." That almost smile again. "It gets easier." "Does it?" "No, you just get better at pretending." She slipped her phone into her pocket. "You have kids?" The question caught him off guard. Yeah. A son." "How old?" 6. She nodded, like that explained something. "You're probably in a hurry then." "Daycare closes at 6. "You should go." He should, but something about the way she stood there, alone in the fading daylight, made him hesitate. "You heading out too?" Eventually, she glanced back at the building. I've got a few things to finish. It's past 5. I'm aware. He didn't know what to say to that, so he just nodded. See you tomorrow then. Tomorrow. He walked to his car, started the engine, and pulled out of the lot. In the rearview mirror, he saw her still standing there, coat over her arm, watching the street. Owen was the last kid at daycare. Liam hated that. Hated being the parent who cut it close, who showed up frazzled and apologetic while his son sat alone in the reading corner waiting. But Owen never complained. He just jumped up when he saw Liam, grabbed his backpack, and ran over with that gap-toothed grin. "Dad! Hey, buddy!" Liam crouched down, pulled him into a hug. "How was your day?" "Good. I made a spaceship and Miss Jennifer said it was really cool." "I heard. Can I see it?" Owen dug into his backpack, pulled out a crumpled piece of construction paper covered in glitter and marker. It looked more like an octopus than a spaceship, but Liam nodded seriously. "That's awesome. Can we put it on the fridge?" "Absolutely." They walked to the car together, Owen chattering about his day, who he played with at recess, what they had for snack, how Tommy pushed someone on the swings and got a timeout. Liam listened, half his attention on the traffic, the other half on his son's voice. This was the best part of his day, the only part that felt real. At home, he made dinner, mac and cheese from a box, baby carrots on the side, and they ate in front of the TV, watching some animated show about talking animals. Owen laughed at all the jokes. Liam smiled when he was supposed to. After dinner, bath time, bedtime. Owen picked out 3 books, negotiated for a 4th, and finally settled under his blankets with his stuffed dog tucked under one arm. "Dad?" "Yeah, buddy?" "Do you like your new job?" Liam sat on the edge of the bed. "It's okay. Still getting used to it." "Is it hard?" "A little, but I'll figure it out." Owen looked at him with those serious eyes. "You're really good at stuff." Liam's throat tightened. "Thanks, Owen." "Love you, Dad." "Love you too, kiddo." He kissed Owen's forehead, turned off the light, and pulled the door halfway closed. Then he went to the kitchen, poured himself a glass of water, and stood at the sink, staring out the window at nothing. This was his life now. Work, Owen, sleep, repeat. It was enough. It had to be. The next few weeks settled into a rhythm. Liam showed up at 8, left at 5, and spent the hours in between trying to keep up. The work wasn't impossible, just dense. Endless meetings, project updates, emails that required careful responses. He learned the names, the systems, the unspoken rules. Don't bother Rachel before her second coffee. Mark talks in circles but eventually gets to the point. The printer on the 3rd floor works better than the one on 15. And Victoria. She was everywhere and nowhere. Some days he didn't see her at all. Other days she'd appear in the break room making tea in silence while people awkwardly tried not to stare. Or she'd sit in on a meeting, ask a few sharp questions, and leave before anyone could respond properly. She didn't socialize, didn't make small talk, just moved through the building like a ghost in expensive clothes. But she noticed things. One morning, Liam arrived to find a new ergonomic chair at his desk. No note, no explanation. When he asked Rachel about it, she shrugged. No idea. Maybe facilities did a sweep. He didn't believe that, but he didn't push it. Another time, he stayed late to finish a report, and when he finally packed up to leave, he found the office dark except for one light in the corner. Victoria's office. The door was open. She was at her desk, papers spread out in front of her, reading glasses perched on her nose. He paused in the hallway, unsure if he should say something. She looked up. "You're here late." "Deadline." "Did you make it?" "Barely." She set down her pen. "You should go home." "So should you." "I will." He didn't believe that either. It was mid-October when everything shifted. Owen got sick. Nothing serious, just a bad cold, but the daycare called halfway through the day, said he had a fever and needed to be picked up. Liam's stomach dropped. He had a presentation in an hour. A big one. Rachel had spent the last week prepping him for it. He found her in the conference room, setting up the projector. "Rachel, there's a situation. My son's sick. I have to leave." Her face tightened. "Now?" "Right now. Liam, the clients are coming at 2. "I know. I'm sorry. Can someone else pick him up? There's no one else. She stared at him, jaw working. Finally, she sighed. Fine, go, but we're going to need to reschedule, and that's going to look bad. I know. This can't become a pattern. It won't. He didn't wait for her to say anything else, just grabbed his jacket and ran. He made it to the day's care in 20 minutes, found Owen curled up on a cot in the office, cheeks flushed and eyes glassy. The kid tried to smile when he saw Liam. Hey, Dad. Hey, buddy, let's get you home. Owen fell asleep in the car, head lolling against the window. Liam carried him inside, got him into bed, and spent the rest of the afternoon cycling between checking his temperature and answering increasingly tense emails from Rachel. By evening, Owen was worse, fever spiking, coughing hard enough to shake his small frame. Liam gave him medicine, wiped his forehead with a cool cloth, and tried not to spiral into panic. He'd lost one family already. He couldn't lose this. At 9, his phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Liam, it's Victoria. He blinked, momentarily thrown. Oh, hi. Rachel told me what happened. How's your son? He's okay. Just a fever. I'm keeping an eye on it. Do you need anything? The question startled him. No. I don't think so. If that changes, let me know. Okay? A pause, then quieter. Take care of him. I will. She hung up. Liam stared at his phone, confused. Why was the CEO calling him at 9 at night to check on his kid? He didn't have time to think about it. Owen woke up crying, and Liam spent the next hour rocking him back to sleep. The next morning, Owen's fever broke. Liam kept him home anyway, just to be safe, and sent Rachel an apologetic email about missing another day. She didn't respond. He was making Owen lunch, soup from a can, crackers on the side, when there was a knock at the door. He frowned. He wasn't expecting anyone. He opened it. Victoria stood on his doorstep, holding a paper bag. Hi, she said. Liam stared. What are you doing here? I brought soup. Real soup, not the canned kind. She held up the bag. And ginger tea. It helps with congestion. He didn't move. How did you know where I live? HR records. She said it like it was obvious. Can I come in? He stepped aside, still too stunned to argue. She walked into his apartment, taking in the cramped living room, the toys scattered across the floor, the laundry basket overflowing on the couch. If she was judging, her face didn't show it. She just set the bag on the kitchen counter and started unpacking. Victoria, you didn't have to... I know. Seriously, this is... Where's Owen? In his room. Can I meet him? Liam hesitated. He didn't let people into Owen's world. It was safer that way. But something about the way she asked, calm, genuine, made him nod. He led her down the hall, knocked lightly on Owen's door. Hey, buddy, someone's here to see you. Owen looked up from his coloring book, eyes widening when he saw Victoria. Hi. Hi, Owen. She crouched down to his level. I'm Victoria. I work with your dad. Are you his boss? She smiled, an actual smile, small but real. Sort of. He said his new job is hard. It is, but he's really good at it. Owen beamed. He's good at everything. Victoria glanced at Liam. He must be. Liam felt his face heat. She spent 20 minutes with Owen asking about his drawings, his favorite cartoons, his spaceship collection. Owen, normally shy around strangers, opened up completely. By the time she stood to leave, he was chattering like they'd known each other for years. At the door, she paused. I meant what I said. If you need anything, call me. I don't have your number. She pulled out her phone, handed it to him. Put yours in. He did. She sent him a text, just her name, so he'd have hers. Thank you, he said quietly. Take tomorrow off too, paid. I'll handle Rachel. You don't have to... I know. She left before he could argue. Liam stood in the doorway watching her car pull away and felt something shift inside his chest, something he wasn't ready to name. What? Owen recovered. Liam went back to work. But things were different now. Victoria started appearing more often. Not hovering, not intrusive, just there. She'd stop by his desk to ask how Owen was doing. She'd bring extra coffee when he looked tired. Once, when he was drowning in a project Mark had dumped on him with no warning, she sat down and helped him sort through it, her sharp mind cutting through the chaos in minutes. "You don't have to do this," he said. "I know." That seemed to be her answer to everything. People noticed. Of course they did. The CEO didn't usually spend time on the operations floor. Mark made a joke about Liam being the teacher's pet. Rachel's smiles got tighter. But Victoria didn't seem to care. And Liam didn't know what to do with it. He didn't know what to do with the way his heart beat faster when she walked into a room, the way he found himself looking for her without meaning to, the way her rare smiles felt like something precious. He didn't know what to do with the fact that, for the first time in 3 years, the walls he'd built around himself were starting to crack, and he wasn't sure if that terrified him or gave him hope. By November, Victoria had become part of Liam's routine in ways he couldn't quite explain. She showed up at his desk most mornings with 2 cups of coffee, one black for herself, one with cream and sugar for him. She never made a big deal of it, just set the cup down, asked how Owen was doing, and moved on before he could stumble through a thank you. Sometimes she'd linger if he was buried in spreadsheets, offering a second pair of eyes, or cutting through problems he'd been wrestling with for hours. Other times she'd just nod and disappear back to wherever CEOs disappeared to. The office had stopped pretending not to notice. Mark cornered him in the break room one afternoon, grinning like he'd uncovered some conspiracy. "So what's your secret?" "What secret?" "Come on, Victoria Hale doesn't bring coffee to anyone. Hell, she barely talks to anyone, but you're getting the full treatment." Liam poured himself water from the cooler, avoiding eye contact. "There's no treatment. She's just being nice." "Nice?" Mark laughed. "That woman doesn't do nice. She does efficient, strategic, occasionally terrifying. But nice?" He shook his head. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. The rest of us have been trying to crack that ice wall for years." Liam didn't respond. He didn't know how to explain that Victoria wasn't ice. She was just careful, guarded. He recognized it because he was the same way. Later that week, Rachel called him into her office. She closed the door behind him, gestured for him to sit, and folded her hands on her desk with the kind of expression that made his stomach drop. "Is there a problem?" he asked. "That depends. Is there something I should know about?" "I don't know what you mean." Rachel leaned back in her chair. "Liam, you're doing good work. Better than I expected, honestly. But there's been some talk." "About?" "About your relationship with Ms. Hale." He felt his face flush. "There's no relationship. She's been helpful, that's all." "Helpful?" Rachel's tone was neutral, but her eyes weren't. "Look, I'm not accusing you of anything, but you need to understand how this looks. The CEO doesn't usually take a personal interest in junior staff. People are going to talk. And if it affects team morale or creates the perception of favoritism, it's not like that. Maybe not. But perception matters." She softened slightly. "I'm just saying, be careful. For your sake and hers." Liam left her office feeling like he'd been reprimanded for something he hadn't done. He wanted to be angry, but mostly he just felt tired. He hadn't asked for Victoria's attention, hadn't encouraged it, but he also couldn't deny that he looked forward to seeing her every day, that her presence made the hard parts easier, that somewhere along the way she'd stopped being his boss and started being something else, something he didn't have a name for yet. That evening, his phone buzzed while he was helping Owen with homework. "Victoria, are you free Saturday afternoon?" He stared at the message, heart doing something complicated in his chest. "Liam, depends. Why?" "Victoria, I want to take Owen to the Science Museum. You're welcome to come." "Liam, you want to take my 6-year-old to a museum?" Victoria, he mentioned last week that he's learning about planets. They have a planetarium show at 2. I already checked. Liam read the message 3 times. She'd remembered a passing comment Owen made, had looked up show times, was offering to spend her Saturday with a kid she barely knew. "Liam, you don't have to do that." Victoria, "I know." He smiled despite himself. "Liam, okay, we'll go." Victoria, "I'll pick you up at 1. Saturday came cold and bright. Liam spent the morning cleaning the apartment, unnecessary since Victoria had already seen the mess, but he did it anyway, and trying to convince Owen to wear something other than his dinosaur pajamas. "But they're cool," Owen protested. You can't wear pajamas to the museum. Why not? Because that's not how it works. Come on, buddy. Jeans and your space shirt. Deal? Owen sighed dramatically but complied. At 1 o'clock sharp, there was a knock at the door. Liam opened it to find Victoria in dark jeans and a gray sweater, her hair down for once, looking almost nothing like the woman who ran a multi-million-dollar company. She looked younger, softer. "Hi," she said. "Hi." Owen barreled past Liam, backpack already on. "Are we going now?" Victoria smiled. "Right now." Her car was sleek and black and probably cost more than Liam made in a year. Owen climbed into the back seat, eyes wide as he took in the leather interior and touch-screen controls. Liam slid into the passenger seat, feeling out of place. "You didn't have to drive," he said. "I wanted to." The museum was downtown, a sprawling building with glass walls and interactive exhibits that lit up Owen's face the second they walked in. He grabbed Victoria's hand without thinking, dragging her toward the dinosaur skeletons, and she let him. Liam followed a few steps behind, watching his son chatter excitedly while Victoria listened like every word mattered. They spent 2 hours wandering through exhibits. Owen pressed buttons, asked 1,000 questions, climbed into a replica spaceship, and declared himself an astronaut. Victoria bought him a glow-in-the-dark solar system model from the gift shop, even though Liam said she didn't have to. "I know," she said, handing the bag to Owen. At the planetarium show, they sat in reclining seats while stars appeared on the dome above them. Owen's mouth fell open in awe. Liam glanced over at Victoria, found her watching Owen with something unreadable in her expression. When she noticed Liam looking, she didn't look away. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" "This. You didn't have to do any of this." "Stop saying that. It's true." She turned her attention back to the stars. "Maybe I wanted to." Liam didn't know what to say to that, so he just sat there, his son on one side and Victoria on the other, and let himself feel something he hadn't felt in a long time. Content. After the museum, Victoria drove them to a diner Owen picked out because it had pictures of pancakes on the sign. They squeezed into a booth, Owen beside Victoria, Liam across from them. Owen ordered chocolate chip pancakes for dinner, a battle Liam decided not to fight, and launched into a detailed recap of every exhibit they'd seen. Victoria listened patiently, occasionally asking questions that made Owen's eyes light up even more. Liam watched them, something warm and terrifying unfurling in his chest. This was dangerous. He knew it was dangerous, but he didn't want it to stop. When they got back to the apartment, Owen was half asleep, sticky with syrup and happiness. Liam carried him inside while Victoria waited by the door. "I should go," she said. "Yeah." Neither of them moved. "Victoria." "Don't." Her voice was soft. "Don't say whatever you're about to say." "Why not?" "Because I don't think either of us is ready for it." She was right. He knew she was right, but it still felt like swallowing glass. "Okay," he said. She gave him a small, sad smile. "See you Monday." Monday. He watched her leave, then carried Owen to bed and stood in the hallway for a long time, trying to figure out what the hell he was doing. The following week, everything started to unravel. It began with a project, a big one. Rachel assigned it to Liam with a deadline that made his pulse spike. 2 weeks to coordinate a logistics overhaul for 3 regional offices. It was the kind of project that could make or break a career, and Rachel made it very clear she expected perfection. "This is your chance to prove yourself," she said. "Don't waste it." Liam threw himself into the work. Late nights at the office, spreadsheets that made his eyes blur, conference calls that stretched past midnight. He barely saw Owen. The daycare pickups got later. Dinners became frozen meals eaten in front of the TV. Bedtime stories shrank to 1 book instead of 3. Owen didn't complain. He never did. But Liam saw the way his son's face fell when he said he had to work late again. Saw the drawings that started appearing, stick figures of Owen alone, no dad in sight. It gutted him. Victoria noticed. Of course she did. She started staying late too, working in her office with the door open so she'd know when Liam was still there. Some nights she'd bring him coffee. Other nights she'd just sit across from him in the empty conference room, working on her own laptop in silence. It helped more than she probably knew. One night, close to 10, she looked up from her screen. "When's the last time you slept?" "I slept." "Liam." He rubbed his eyes. I don't know, a few hours here and there. That's not sustainable. I don't have a choice. This project can wait until tomorrow. Rachel said, I don't care what Rachel said. Go home. I can't. Yes, you can. She closed her laptop. I'll help you tomorrow. We'll finish it together. But right now you need to go home and be with your son. Something in her voice broke through the fog. He looked at her, really looked, and saw the same exhaustion he felt mirrored in her face. She was running herself into the ground too, had been for as long as he'd known her. Why do you do this? He asked. Do what? Care. About me. About Owen. You don't have to. Her jaw tightened. Maybe I'm tired of not caring about anything. The words hung between them, raw and unguarded. Liam wanted to say something, wanted to close the space between them and tell her he understood, that he was tired too, that she made everything feel less impossible, but he didn't. He just nodded, packed up his things, and went home. The project consumed the next week. True to her word, Victoria helped. She cleared her schedule, worked side by side with him, cut through problems with the kind of precision that made him wonder why she wasn't running the entire world. They fell into a rhythm, him handling the logistics, her managing the big picture. It worked. Better than it should have. But the cost was steep. Liam missed Owen's school play, forgot to send snacks for the class party, showed up to pick him up one day, and found his son sitting alone in the reading corner, the last kid again, clutching his backpack and trying not to cry. I'm sorry, buddy, Liam said, crouching down. I got stuck in a meeting. You're always stuck. The words hit like a punch. That night, after Owen was asleep, Liam sat on the couch and stared at the wall. He was doing everything wrong. Failing as a father, failing at work, failing at everything that mattered. His phone buzzed. Victoria. You okay? He didn't know how to answer that. Didn't even know how she knew he wasn't. Liam. Just tired. Victoria. I'm coming over. Liam. You don't have to. Victoria, I know. She showed up 20 minutes later with takeout and a bottle of wine. Liam let her in, too exhausted to argue. They sat on the couch, eating in silence, the TV playing some late-night show neither of them watched. I'm a terrible father, Liam said eventually. No, you're not. I missed his play. He sat alone at daycare. Again. He drew a picture of himself without me in it. Victoria set down her fork. You're doing the best you can. That's not good enough. It's all any of us can do. He looked at her. Do you ever feel like you're failing at everything? She didn't answer right away, just stared at her hands, expression distant. Finally, she said, Every day. You run a company, you're successful, I'm alone. The words came out flat. I built an empire and forgot to build a life. I go home to an empty apartment every night and eat dinner by myself and pretend it's what I wanted. But it's not. It's just what I'm good at. Liam's chest tightened. Victoria, you have Owen. You have something real. Don't let work take that away from you. I don't know how to balance it. Neither do I. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Maybe that's why I keep showing up here. Because watching you try makes me think maybe it's possible. They sat there, the silence stretching, something fragile and unspoken building between them. I should go, Victoria said finally. Stay. She looked at him, surprised. Just for a little while, he added. I don't want to be alone right now. She nodded. Stayed. They talked until past midnight. About work. About Owen. About the things they'd lost and the things they were afraid to want. It was the most honest conversation Liam had had in years. When she finally left, he stood in the doorway and watched her go, and realized with sudden, terrifying clarity that he was falling for her, and he had no idea what to do about it. The project wrapped 2 days before the deadline. Rachel was thrilled. She called Liam into her office, actually smiled, and told him he'd exceeded expectations. This is exactly the kind of work we need, she said. I'm putting you forward for a promotion. He should have been happy, should have felt proud, but all he felt was hollow. That night, he picked Owen up on time for the first time in weeks. His son's face lit up when he saw him. You're early. I know. I'm sorry I've been late so much. Owen hugged him tight. It's okay. You're here now. Simple, forgiving, the way only kids could be. They went to the park, played on the swings until it got dark, and ate pizza on the living room floor. Owen talked about his day, about his friends, about the science project he was working on. Liam listened to every word. Later, after Owen was asleep, Liam sat on the couch and pulled out his phone. He stared at Victoria's name in his contacts for a long time before typing. Liam, thank you for everything. Her response came almost immediately. Victoria, you don't have to thank me. Liam, I know, but I'm going to anyway. Victoria, how's Owen? Liam, good. Happy. We went to the park. Victoria, I'm glad. He hesitated, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Liam, I miss you. He deleted it, typed something else, deleted that too. Finally, he just sent, good night. Victoria, good night, Liam. He set the phone down, chest aching with everything he couldn't say. December arrived with freezing rain and early darkness. The office decorated for the holidays, tasteful garlands, a massive tree in the lobby, music playing softly from hidden speakers. Liam found it depressing. Owen loved it. Victoria seemed to retreat. She stopped bringing coffee, stopped lingering at his desk. When they passed in the hallway, she'd nod politely and keep walking. It felt like a door closing. Liam told himself it was for the best, told himself the distance was necessary, told himself he didn't lie awake at night thinking about her. He was lying. Mark threw a holiday party at his house. Mandatory fun, he called it. Liam almost didn't go, but Owen was at a sleepover and the apartment felt too quiet. So he showed up, nursed a beer, and tried to look like he was having a good time. Victoria wasn't there. He told himself he wasn't disappointed. He was talking to someone from accounting, or maybe marketing, he couldn't remember, when his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost ignored it, but something made him answer. Hello? Mr. Carter? This is Jennifer from Little Steps Learning Center. His stomach dropped. Is Owen okay? He's fine, but there's been an incident. One of the parents came to pick up their child and, well, there was a misunderstanding. Owen got scared. He's asking for you. Liam was already heading for the door. I'll be there in 10 minutes. He made it in 7. Owen was in the director's office, curled up in a chair, eyes red from crying. The second he saw Liam, he launched himself across the room. Dad! Liam caught him, held him tight. I've got you. You're okay. The director explained a messy custody situation with another family, raised voices, a child crying. Owen had been nearby, got overwhelmed, and shut down. Nothing directly involving him, but enough to trigger something. Liam knew what it was. Fear. The same fear that lived in his own chest every day. The fear of losing someone, of everything falling apart again. He took Owen home, got him into pajamas, and sat with him until he fell asleep. Then he went to the kitchen, poured himself a drink he didn't want, and called the one person he knew would understand. Victoria answered on the second ring. Liam? Sorry, I know it's late. What's wrong? He told her. All of it. The call. Owen's fear. The way his son had clung to him like the world was ending. I don't know how to fix this, Liam said. I don't know how to make him feel safe. You're doing it right now. You showed up. You're there. That's what matters. It doesn't feel like enough. It never does. Her voice was soft. But you're not alone in this. I feel alone. Silence. Then, I'm coming over. Victoria, you don't... I know. She hung up before he could argue. 20 minutes later, she was at his door. No coat, just a sweater, like she'd run out without thinking. Her hair was messy. She looked scared. Is he okay? She asked. He's asleep. She exhaled. And you? I don't know. She stepped inside, closed the door, and pulled him into a hug. Liam froze. Then, slowly, he wrapped his arms around her and let himself break. He didn't cry. Couldn't remember the last time he had, but he held on to her like she was the only thing keeping him upright, and she didn't let go. I can't do this anymore, he whispered. Do what? Pretend I don't need anyone. Pretend I'm fine. Pretend I don't... He stopped himself. Don't what? He pulled back, looked at her. Her dark eyes were wide, waiting. I can't pretend I don't care about you, he said. I can't keep acting like you showing up doesn't mean everything to me. Like I don't think about you constantly. Like I'm not terrified of what that means. Victoria's breath hitched. Liam, I know it's a bad idea. I know I'm a mess. I know I have nothing to offer you except a kid and a tiny apartment and a life that's held together with duct tape. But I can't keep lying to myself. She didn't say anything, just stared at him, her expression unreadable. Then she kissed him. It was soft, tentative, like she was afraid he'd pull away. He didn't. He kissed her back, hands cupping her face, and for the first time in 3 years, he let himself feel something other than fear. When they finally broke apart, she rested her forehead against his. I've been waiting for you to say that, she whispered. Why didn't you say it first? Because I was afraid you'd run. I'm not running. You should. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be what you need. You already are. She closed her eyes. I've loved you for months, since the first time you smiled at Owen, since the day you looked at me like I was a person instead of a title. I didn't plan it, didn't want it, but I can't stop it. Liam's heart felt too big for his chest. Victoria, but I need you to be sure. Because if we do this, I'm all in, and I don't know if I'll survive it if you change your mind. He kissed her again, longer this time, deeper. I'm sure, he said. They stood there, holding each other in the dim light of his apartment, and let the world fall away. For the first time in a long time, Liam wasn't afraid. He was just here, with her, and that was enough. Victoria stayed until dawn. They didn't sleep, just sat on the couch, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her waist, talking in low voices so they wouldn't wake Owen. She told him about growing up in boarding schools, about parents who measured love in stock portfolios and quarterly earnings, about building a company because it was the only thing she knew how to do, about coming home every night to silence and convincing herself it was freedom. Liam told her about Sarah, about the cancer that came fast and brutal, about watching his wife fade while trying to keep a 3-year-old from understanding that his mother wasn't coming back, about the funeral where Owen asked why Mommy was sleeping in a box, about the years after, moving through days like a ghost, doing everything right and feeling nothing. I thought I was done, Liam said quietly. Thought I'd used up my chance at this. At what? Feeling something real, Victoria lifted her head, looked at him. And now? Now I'm terrified I'll screw it up. That makes 2 of us. When the sky started to lighten, she kissed him one more time and left before Owen woke up. Liam stood at the window, watched her car disappear down the street, and felt the weight of what they'd started settle over him. He had no idea how to do this, how to be someone's partner again, how to let her into the life he'd built around survival and routine, how to explain to his son that the woman from the museum might become something more. But he wanted to try. That had to count for something. Owen woke up an hour later, calmer than the night before. They made pancakes together, Owen standing on a chair to help stir the batter, and Liam listened to him chatter about his sleepover, about the movie they'd watched and the fort they'd built. Normal 6-year-old things, no mention of the scare at daycare. Liam was grateful for that. Dad? Yeah, buddy? Is Victoria your friend? Liam's hand froze on the spatula. Yeah, she is. I like her. I'm glad. Owen poured chocolate chips into the batter without asking. Does she like us? I think so. Good. Owen nodded, satisfied. Can she come over again? Liam smiled despite the knot in his chest. Maybe. I want to show her my spaceship collection. I don't think she saw all of them last time. We'll see. They ate breakfast in the living room, syrup everywhere, and Liam tried not to think about how complicated everything had just become. Monday morning arrived too fast. Liam got to the office early, nerves humming under his skin. He didn't know what to expect. Didn't know if Victoria would act different or if things would go back to the careful distance she'd been keeping. She was already at her desk when he arrived, door half open, staring at her computer screen. He paused in the hallway, debating whether to knock. She looked up, saw him, and smiled. Not the polite CEO smile, a real one, small and private and just for him. Liam's heart did something stupid in his chest. He walked to her door. Morning? Morning. You okay? I don't know yet. She leaned back in her chair. Are you? Same. They looked at each other for a long moment. Then Victoria glanced past him at the still empty office and stood, walked around her desk, stopped right in front of him. I meant what I said, she murmured. All of it. So did I. She reached up, straightened his collar even though it didn't need straightening. We're going to have to be careful. I know. People are already talking. Let them. Her eyes widened slightly. Liam? I'm tired of hiding, tired of pretending I don't care about you. He caught her hand, held it. I don't want to broadcast it to the whole office, but I'm not going to act like you don't matter to me. Victoria's expression softened. You're going to get me in trouble. Pretty sure it's the other way around. She laughed quietly. Then she kissed him, quick and soft, there and gone before he could fully process it. Go to work, she said, before someone sees us. He went, but he couldn't stop smiling. The day passed in a blur of emails and meetings. Mark made another joke about Liam being the favorite. Rachel gave him a look that suggested she knew something had changed, but wasn't sure what. Liam ignored both of them. At lunch, Victoria texted him. Victoria, dinner tonight? Liam, can't. Owen has soccer practice. Victoria, tomorrow? Liam, I'll check with the sitter. Victoria, bring Owen. We can order pizza. He stared at the message, something warm spreading through his chest. She wasn't asking him to carve out time away from his son. She was asking to be part of it. Liam, he'd like that. Victoria, so would I. That evening, Liam stood on the sidelines of a muddy soccer field, watching Owen chase a ball with a pack of other 6-year-olds who had no concept of positions or strategy. His son was terrible at soccer, spent more time picking dandelions than actually playing, but he loved it, and that was enough. Liam's phone buzzed. Victoria, how's practice? Liam, chaotic. Owen just scored on his own goal. Victoria, that's impressive in its own way. Liam, he's very proud. Victoria, send me a picture. Liam snapped a photo of Owen mid-run, grass-stained and grinning, and sent it. Her response came immediately. Victoria, he looks happy. Liam, he is. Victoria, you're a good father. The words hit harder than they should have. He typed and deleted 3 responses before settling on, thank you. That night, after Owen was asleep, Liam sat on the couch and let himself think about what came next. About navigating a relationship while raising a kid. About the logistics of dating his boss. About whether Victoria understood what she was signing up for. His phone rang. Hey, he said. Hey. Victoria's voice was soft. I couldn't sleep. Me neither. I keep thinking about what happens now. Yeah, me too. Silence stretched between them, comfortable and uncertain at the same time. Liam? Yeah? I don't know how to do this. Be in a relationship, be around a kid, be anything other than work. I don't know how to do it either. Haven't since Sarah. So we're both making this up as we go? Looks like it. She laughed quietly. That's terrifying. Little bit. But you're still in. I'm still in. Okay. He could hear the smile in her voice. Good night, Liam. Good night. He hung up and stared at the ceiling, wondering how he'd gotten here. How this brilliant, complicated woman had walked into his life and made him believe in second chances. He didn't have answers, but for the first time in years, he was okay with that. The next few weeks passed in a strange, fragile kind of happiness. They were careful at work, professional. But in the quiet moments between meetings, Victoria would catch his eye and something would pass between them. A shared look. A small smile. Enough to keep him going. Outside the office, things were different. Easier. Victoria came over twice a week, sometimes more. She'd bring takeout or cook, badly. But Owen thought it was hilarious when she burned pasta. They'd eat together, the 3 of them crammed around Liam's tiny kitchen table, and talk about everything and nothing. Owen adored her. He showed her his drawings, his spaceship collection, his rock collection, his collection of sticks he'd deemed important. Victoria listened to all of it with genuine interest, asking questions that made Owen light up. One night, after Owen had gone to bed, She and Liam were cleaning up the kitchen. She was scrubbing a pot while he dried dishes, and the domesticity of it hit him hard. "What?" she asked, noticing his expression. "Nothing. Just, this is nice." "Doing dishes?" "Being here. With you." She set down the pot. "Liam, I know we're taking it slow. I know we haven't talked about what this is or where it's going, but I want you to know—" He paused, searching for the right words. "You make everything better, lighter. I didn't think I'd feel like this again." Victoria's eyes were bright. "I feel the same way." "Yeah?" "Yeah." She stepped closer, hands still wet from the sink. "I go home and my apartment feels wrong now. Too quiet, too empty. I keep thinking about this, about you and Owen, and what? And wanting to stay." His breath caught. "Victoria, I'm not asking for anything. I know it's too soon. I needed you to know." He kissed her, slow and deep, trying to pour everything he couldn't say into it. When they pulled apart, she was smiling. "Stay tonight," he said. "Owen is asleep. We'll be quiet. You can leave early if you want. Just stay." She did. They lay in his bed, her head on his chest, his fingers tracing patterns on her shoulder. They didn't do anything more than hold each other. It was enough. "Tell me something," she murmured. "Something you've never told anyone." Liam thought about it. "After Sarah died, I used to sit in Owen's room and watch him sleep, every night for a year. I was so scared he'd stop breathing, that I'd lose him too." Victoria's hand tightened on his shirt. "Do you still do that?" "Sometimes. When it's been a bad day. That's not weakness, that's love." He kissed the top of her head. "Your turn." She was quiet for a long time, then, "I bought this company because my father said I couldn't run it. He thought I was too soft, too emotional, so I became the opposite. Turned myself into someone who didn't feel anything, and I was good at it. So good I forgot how to be anything else. You're not that person anymore." "I'm trying not to be." "You're doing better than you think." She tilted her head up, kissed him softly. "So are you." They fell asleep like that, tangled together, and Liam woke up feeling more rested than he had in years. But happiness never lasted. He should have known that. It started with small things. Rachel's comments getting sharper, Mark's jokes turning pointed, whispers in the break room that stopped when Liam walked in. He tried to ignore it, but the tension was building. Then the email came. A formal complaint filed with HR. Anonymous. Alleging favoritism and inappropriate conduct between Victoria Hale and Liam Carter. Recommending an investigation. Liam stared at the email, stomach dropping. He forwarded it to Victoria immediately. She called him 2 minutes later. "Where are you?" "My desk." "Come to my office. Now." He went. She was standing by the window, arms crossed, face unreadable. "This is bad," she said. "I know. They're going to investigate, interview people, dig into everything." "I know. This could cost me the company. The board's already been looking for reasons to push me out. This is the perfect excuse." Liam's chest tightened. "What do we do?" Victoria turned to face him. "We end it." The words hit like a punch. "What?" "We stop seeing each other. Publicly, privately, all of it. I'll issue a statement saying we had a professional relationship that may have been misconstrued. You'll do the same. We distance ourselves and hope it blows over." "You can't be serious." "I'm completely serious. Victoria, I won't let this destroy everything I've built. I can't." Liam felt something crack in his chest. "So that's it? We just pretend the last 2 months didn't happen? We don't have a choice. There's always a choice." "Not this time." Her voice was cold now, controlled, the CEO voice he hadn't heard in weeks. "I'm sorry, Liam, but this is how it has to be." He stared at her, searching for any sign of the woman who'd slept in his bed last night, who'd laughed with his son, who'd told him she wanted to stay. She was gone. "Fine," he said quietly. "Liam, no, you made your decision. I get it." He walked out before she could say anything else. The next few days were hell. HR called him in for an interview, asked pointed questions about his relationship with Victoria, about the coffee, the late nights, the museum trip. He answered honestly. They were friends, she'd been supportive, nothing inappropriate had occurred in the workplace. It wasn't technically a lie, but it felt like one. Victoria avoided him completely. No texts, no calls. When they passed in the hallway, she looked through him like he didn't exist. It hurt worse than anything he'd felt since Sarah died. Owen noticed the change. "Is Victoria coming over?" he asked one night. "Not this week, buddy. What about next week?" "I don't know." "Did you have a fight?" Liam's throat tightened. "Something like that." "You should say sorry. It's more complicated than that." Owen frowned, clearly not understanding. "But you like her, and she likes us, so you should fix it." If only it were that simple. A week later, Rachel called him into her office. She looked uncomfortable. "The investigation's wrapping up," she said. "No concrete evidence of misconduct, but given the circumstances, we think it's best if you transfer to a different division." "You're moving me." "It's not a punishment, just a precaution, to avoid any appearance of impropriety." "Where?" "Philadelphia office, same role, same pay. You'd start next month." "Philadelphia, 3 hours away." "I can't move," Liam said. "Owen's school, his friends, his routine. Then you can stay here, but you'll be reassigned to a different department, one that doesn't interact with executive leadership." Translation: one that doesn't interact with Victoria. "I need to think about it." "You have until Friday." He left her office feeling like the walls were closing in. That night, Owen had a nightmare. Liam heard him crying and went to his room, found him sitting up in bed, tears streaming down his face. Hey, I'm here. What's wrong?" "I dreamed you left. Like Mommy." Liam's heart shattered. He pulled Owen into his arms, held him tight. "I'm not going anywhere, I promise." "You promise?" "I promise." Owen clung to him, and Liam sat there on the edge of the bed, stroking his son's hair, and made a decision. He couldn't move to Philadelphia, couldn't uproot Owen's life for a job, couldn't risk his son's stability for anything, even for Victoria. The thought hurt more than he expected. Friday came. Liam told Rachel he'd take the reassignment. Stay in the city, different department, minimal contact with executive leadership. It felt like giving up, but he didn't see another option. That evening, he took Owen to the park. They played on the swings until it got dark, and Owen talked about his day, oblivious to the fact that Liam's world was falling apart. When they got home, there was a car parked outside the apartment. Victoria's car. She was sitting on the steps leading to his building, coat wrapped tight around her, face pale in the streetlight. "Owen, go inside and wash up for dinner, okay?" "Is Victoria staying?" "I don't know yet. Go on." Owen ran inside. Liam walked over slowly, hands in his pockets. "What are you doing here?" Victoria stood. "I heard about the reassignment." News travels fast. "Liam, if you're here to apologize, don't. You made your choice. I made mine. We're done." "I don't want to be done," he laughed bitterly. "Little late for that. I was scared. I panicked. I thought if I cut you off, it would protect the company, protect you." "I don't need protecting." "I know." Her voice cracked. "I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have fought for this, for us. But I didn't, and I've spent every day since regretting it." Liam wanted to stay angry, wanted to hold on to the hurt and use it as armor. But looking at her, really looking, he saw the same pain he felt mirrored in her eyes. "Why now?" he asked. "Why show up here after 2 weeks of nothing?" "Because I can't do this anymore. Can't pretend I don't care. Can't go back to the way things were before you." She stepped closer. "I love you. I love Owen. And I know I have no right to say that after what I did. But it's the truth." His breath caught. "Victoria, I don't care about the company. I don't care about the board or HR or what anyone thinks. I care about you. And if that means I lose everything else, then I lose it. But I'm not losing you. Not without a fight." Liam stared at her. "You really mean that?" "I've never meant anything more." He wanted to believe her, wanted to let go of the anger and pull her close and pretend the last 2 weeks hadn't happened, but trust was fragile, and she'd broken it. "I need time," he said quietly. Her face fell. "Okay. I'm not saying no. I'm saying I need to think. Because this isn't just about me. It's about Owen. And if you're going to be in his life, I need to know you're not going to run the second things get hard." "I won't." I promise. You promised before. The words hung between them, sharp and true. Victoria nodded slowly. You're right. I did. And I broke it. So I'll wait, as long as you need. She turned to leave. Victoria. She looked back. I love you too. Her eyes filled with tears. Then let me prove it. Let me show you I'm not going anywhere. How? I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. She left. Liam stood there in the cold, heart pounding, and wondered if he was making a mistake. But for the first time in weeks, he felt something other than emptiness. Hope. The next morning, Liam woke up with hope sitting like something fragile in his chest. He got Owen ready for school, went through the motions of breakfast and backpack checks, but his mind kept circling back to Victoria standing on his doorstep, to the way she'd said she'd wait as long as he needed. He wanted to believe her, wanted to let go of the hurt and move forward. But 3 years of building walls didn't come down overnight. At work, he kept his head down. The new department was fine. Logistics coordination for regional distribution, nothing glamorous but steady work with people who didn't know or care about his personal life. It was exactly what he needed. Anonymous. Safe. Mark stopped by his desk around 10, leaning against the cubicle wall with that knowing grin. So I heard Victoria Hale showed up at your place last night. Liam's head snapped up. How did you... Janet from accounting lives in your building. She saw the car. Mark raised his hands. Hey, I'm not judging. Just saying, that woman doesn't chase after anyone. You must have really gotten under her skin. It's complicated. It always is with her. Mark's expression shifted, got more serious. Look, I know I joke around, but be careful, okay? She's the CEO. You're not. That power dynamic, I know what it is. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're walking a tightrope. And if you fall, I'll deal with it. Mark studied him for a moment, then nodded. All right, just don't say I didn't warn you. He walked away, leaving Liam staring at his computer screen without seeing it. That evening, Victoria showed up again. Same time, same coffee, same determined look on her face. Owen answered the door this time, throwing himself at her before Liam could say a word. You came back! Of course I did. Are you staying for dinner? Victoria glanced at Liam over Owen's head, uncertain. He could see the question in her eyes. Could send her away or let her in. Build the walls higher or start taking them down. Yeah, Liam said quietly. She's staying. Owen cheered. Victoria's shoulders dropped in visible relief. They ordered pizza. Owen talked non-stop about his day, something about a science experiment involving vinegar and baking soda that had gotten everywhere. Victoria listened like it was the most important thing she'd ever heard, asking questions that made Owen's eyes light up even more. Liam watched them from the kitchen, something warm and terrifying unfurling in his chest. This could be real. This could be his life. If he was brave enough to let it. After dinner, Owen convinced Victoria to play Spaceship with him, an elaborate game involving couch cushions, blankets, and sound effects that made Liam's head hurt. But Victoria threw herself into it completely, making explosion noises and declaring herself the captain of the USS Dinosaur with total seriousness. When Owen finally crashed, exhausted and happy, Liam carried him to bed. Victoria cleaned up the living room, refolding blankets and restacking cushions. When Liam came back, she was standing by the window, arms wrapped around herself. Thank you, she said, for letting me stay. Owen missed you. And you? Liam moved closer. Yeah, I missed you too. She turned to face him. I meant what I said. I'm not going anywhere. I want to believe that, then believe it. She stepped forward, closing the distance between them. I know I hurt you. I know I broke your trust. But I'm asking you to give me a chance to earn it back. It's not just about trust. Then what? Liam ran a hand through his hair, searching for the right words. When Sarah died, I shut down. Stopped feeling anything except fear. Fear of losing Owen, fear of being alone, fear of screwing up. And I got good at it. Good at not feeling. Good at keeping everyone at arm's length. But then you showed up, and you made me feel things I thought I was done feeling. You made me want things I convinced myself I couldn't have. And that terrified me. Still terrifies me. Victoria's eyes were bright. What do you want, Liam? I want this. You. Us. I want Owen to have a family that's more than just me barely holding it together. I want to come home and have someone to talk to. I want... His voice broke. I want to stop being so damn scared all the time. She closed the remaining distance, framed his face with her hands. Then let me help you. Let me be part of this. For real this time, no running, no hiding, just us, figuring it out together. He kissed her, slow and deep and full of everything he couldn't say. When they pulled apart, he rested his forehead against hers. Okay, he whispered. Okay. I'm in. We're doing this. She smiled, and it was like the sun coming out. Thank God. I was running out of ways to prove myself. You could have just asked. Where's the drama in that? He laughed, and it felt like something breaking open inside him, something good. They spent the next hour on the couch, talking about everything and nothing. About work, about Owen, about the stupid things that didn't matter but somehow did. It felt normal, easy, like this was something they'd been doing for years instead of weeks. Around 11, Victoria's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, frowned. Work? The board, they want to meet tomorrow morning. About what? Probably about us. The investigation might be closed, but they're not happy about it. She set the phone down. They've been looking for reasons to push me out for months. This just gives them ammunition. What are you going to do? Fight, like always. She looked at him. Unless you want me to step back. Make this easier. Don't do that. Don't put this on me. I'm not. I'm asking what you want. I want you to do what's right for you, not what you think I need. Victoria studied him for a long moment. What if what's right for me is you? Then we'll figure it out, together. She kissed him again, softer this time. I love you. I love you too. She left around midnight. Liam stood at the window watching her car pull away and felt like he was standing on the edge of something huge, something that could either save him or destroy him. He chose to believe in saving. The next few days were tense. Victoria went to her board meeting and came back tight-lipped and frustrated. She didn't share details, but Liam could see the strain in her shoulders, the way she held herself like she was bracing for a hit. At work, the whispers continued. Liam heard his name paired with Victoria's in hushed conversations that stopped when he walked by. Rachel started giving him assignments that kept him away from the main office, away from any chance of running into Victoria during work hours. He hated it, hated feeling like they were doing something wrong when all they'd done was fall in love. One afternoon, he was in the supply room grabbing printer paper when Rachel appeared in the doorway. We need to talk. His stomach sank. About what? About the fact that you're still seeing Victoria Hale. That's not against any policy. It's not, but it's causing problems. People are talking. Morale is suffering. And frankly, it's making my job harder. So what do you want me to do? Break up with her to make your job easier? Rachel's expression tightened. I want you to be realistic about the situation. You're a junior manager. She's the CEO. That power dynamic is none of your business. It is when it affects my team. Liam set down the paper, faced her fully. I've done everything you've asked. Transferred departments, kept things professional at work, stayed out of everyone's way. But what I do on my own time, who I see, who I love, that's my business. Not yours, not the company's. Even if it costs you your career here? Even then. Rachel stared at him for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. All right, just don't say I didn't warn you. She left. Liam stood there, heart pounding, and realized he'd just drawn a line in the sand. No more hiding, no more apologizing for something that made him happy. It was terrifying and liberating at the same time. That evening, he told Victoria about the conversation. They were at his apartment, Owen asleep in his room, dinner dishes still on the table. She threatened your job? Victoria's voice was ice. Not directly, but yeah, basically. I'll talk to her. This is unacceptable. Don't. Liam caught her hand. I don't want you fighting my battles. This isn't just your battle, it's ours. I know, but I need to handle this myself. I need to know I can stand up for us without you swooping in to fix it. Victoria's jaw worked. Finally, she nodded. Okay, but if she crosses the line, then I'll tell you, I promise. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Victoria said, I'm meeting with the board again next week. They want to discuss my future with the company. What does that mean? It means they're going to ask me to choose the company or you. Liam's chest went tight. And what are you going to say? I don't know yet. Victoria, I'm not saying I'd choose the company. I'm saying I don't know how to navigate this. I've spent 15 years building Hale Industries. It's my name on the building, my legacy. And now they're asking me to walk away from it because I fell in love. You don't have to choose, don't I? Because it feels like that's exactly what they're asking. Liam reached for her hand. What do you want? Forget the board, forget the company. What do you actually want? She looked at him, eyes bright with unshed tears. I want both. I want the company I built and the life I'm building with you. But I don't think I get to have that. Why not? Because the world doesn't work that way. Especially not for women in my position. One mistake, one hint of impropriety, and everything I've worked for disappears. Being in love isn't impropriety. Try telling that to the board. They sat there, the weight of impossible choices pressing down on them both. Finally, Liam said, Whatever you decide, I'm with you. If you need to step back from us to save the company, I'll understand. If you want to fight, I'll fight beside you, but you don't have to carry this alone. Victoria's tears finally fell. I'm so tired of fighting. I know. I don't want to lose you, but I don't want to lose everything I've built either. Then don't choose. Not yet. Let's see what happens at the meeting. Maybe there's a way through this that we haven't thought of. She nodded, wiping her eyes. Okay. They held each other on the couch, and Liam tried to ignore the feeling that they were standing on the edge of a cliff. The week crawled by. Victoria was distant, distracted, clearly running scenarios in her head. Liam gave her space, but it felt like watching her slip away all over again. Then, 3 days before her board meeting, Owen got sick. It started with a cough. Nothing serious, just a cold. But by the second day, the cough had gotten worse. By the third day, Owen was running a fever and struggling to breathe. Liam called the doctor, got an appointment, drove Owen to the clinic trying not to panic. The doctor listened to Owen's lungs, frowned, and said she wanted to run some tests. Tests for what? His breathing is more labored than it should be for a simple cold. I want to rule out pneumonia. Pneumonia. The word hit like a fist. They did a chest x-ray. Drew blood. Made Owen sit still while machines beeped and whirred around him. Liam held his son's hand the whole time, trying to keep his own fear off his face. The results came back 2 hours later. Pneumonia. Not severe yet, but enough that the doctor wanted Owen on antibiotics immediately and monitored closely. If his breathing gets worse or the fever spikes above 103, take him to the ER, she said. Liam drove home in a daze, got Owen settled on the couch with blankets and cartoons and the medicine the pharmacy had rushed to fill. Then he sat down and tried not to fall apart. His phone rang. Victoria. Hey, how are you? Owen's sick, pneumonia. Silence. Then, I'm coming over. You don't have to. I'm already in the car. She arrived 20 minutes later, still in her work clothes, carrying a bag from the pharmacy with more medicine, a thermometer, and a stuffed dinosaur for Owen. I didn't know what he needed, so I got everything, she said. Liam pulled her into a hug. Thank you. They spent the evening taking turns checking Owen's temperature, making sure he took his medicine, keeping him comfortable. Victoria read him stories in funny voices until he fell asleep. Then she and Liam sat in the kitchen, exhausted and wired at the same time. How bad is it? She asked quietly. The doctor said if we stay on top of the antibiotics, he should be fine in a week. And if you don't? I don't want to think about that. Victoria reached across the table, took his hand. He's going to be okay. You don't know that. No, but I believe it anyway. Liam looked at her, this woman who kept showing up, kept staying, even when things got hard, and felt something settle in his chest. The board meeting, he said. It's in 2 days. I know. What are you going to tell them? Victoria was quiet for a long moment. Then, I'm going to tell them the truth. That I'm in love with you. That I'm not stepping back from your life or from Owen's. And that if they can't accept that, they can find a new CEO. Liam's breath caught. Victoria, I've been thinking about it all week, trying to figure out how to have both. But the truth is, if I have to choose, I choose you. I choose this. She gestured around the tiny apartment. I choose the life we're building over the company I built alone. You'll regret it. Maybe, but I'll regret losing you more. Liam stood, pulled her up, kissed her hard. I love you. I love you too. They stood in his cramped kitchen, holding each other, and Liam felt like they'd just crossed some invisible line, like they'd committed to something bigger than either of them. The next day, Owen's fever broke. He was still weak, still coughing, but the worst had passed. Victoria stayed the night, sleeping on the couch, so she'd be there if Owen needed anything. Liam woke up at 3 in the morning and found her sitting beside Owen's bed, watching him sleep. He's okay, Liam whispered from the doorway. I know. I wanted to make sure. He understood. It was the same thing he'd been doing for 3 years. Standing guard, keeping watch, making sure the people he loved were still breathing. Come to bed, he said gently. She followed him back to his room. They lay in the dark, and Victoria said, I'm scared. Of the meeting? Of losing this. Of finally having something real and watching it fall apart. It won't fall apart. You don't know that. No, but I'm choosing to believe it anyway. He pulled her closer. Whatever happens tomorrow, we'll handle it. Together. She nodded against his chest. Together. The next morning, Victoria left early to prepare for the board meeting. Liam got Owen settled with a movie and tried to distract himself with work emails, but his mind kept circling back to her, to what she was about to do, to the fact that she was willing to walk away from everything for him. The hours crawled by. He checked his phone obsessively. No messages. Finally, at 2 in the afternoon, his phone rang. How did it go? Victoria's laugh was shaky. I quit. His heart stopped. What? I walked in, told them I wasn't stepping back from our relationship, and they gave me an ultimatum. End things with you or resign. So I resigned. Victoria. I'm done, Liam. Effective immediately. They're issuing a press release tomorrow about me stepping down to pursue other opportunities. Her voice cracked. 15 years. Gone. He didn't know what to say. Didn't know how to make this better. I'm coming over, he said. You don't have to. I'm coming over. He called the neighbor to watch Owen, drove to Victoria's penthouse, and found her sitting on the floor of her living room surrounded by boxes. She looked up when he walked in, eyes red. I started packing, she said. Figured I might as well get ahead of it. Liam sat down beside her. I'm so sorry. Don't be. I made the choice. You shouldn't have had to. But I did. And I'd do it again. She leaned into him. I just didn't think it would hurt this much. They sat there for a long time, holding each other while she grieved everything she'd lost. Finally, she said, What happens now? Now we figure out what comes next, together. I don't know who I am without that company. Then we'll figure that out too. She looked at him, eyes searching. You're sure? Because I just gave up everything for this. For us. And if you're not sure, I'm sure, he kissed her forehead. I've never been more sure of anything. She nodded, something settling in her expression. Okay, then we'll figure it out. And sitting there in her empty penthouse, surrounded by boxes and broken dreams, they started to plan a future that looked nothing like either of them had imagined. But for the first time, it felt real. Messy and uncertain and absolutely terrifying. But real. Victoria showed up the next morning at 7. Liam opened the door to find her standing there with coffee and a bag of donuts, looking like she hadn't slept. Owen appeared behind him in his pajamas, rubbing his eyes. Victoria! He ran past Liam and wrapped his arms around her waist. She looked startled for a second, then her expression softened. She set down the coffee and hugged him back. Hey, Owen. I missed you. I missed you too. Liam's chest tightened. He hadn't told Owen about the fight, about the investigation, about any of it. His son just knew that Victoria had stopped coming around, and it had hurt him. Come on, buddy, Liam said. Go get dressed. We need to leave for school in 20 minutes. Owen ran off. Victoria straightened, meeting Liam's eyes. I'm sorry. I should have called first. It's fine. I brought coffee and donuts. Owen mentioned once that he likes the chocolate ones. He did? At the museum, when we were in the gift shop. Liam shook his head. You remember that? I remember everything about that day. They stood there in the doorway, the space between them charged with everything unsaid. Finally, Liam stepped back. "You want to come in?" "If that's okay." He let her in. She sat at the kitchen table while he got Owen ready, the same table where they'd eaten dinner together dozens of times. It felt strange having her there again. Strange and right at the same time. When Owen was finally dressed and fed, Liam walked him to the bus stop. Victoria waited in the apartment. When he got back, she was washing the dishes from breakfast. "You don't have to do that," he said. "I know." He leaned against the counter, watching her. "You're really trying to prove something, aren't you?" "Yes." "By doing my dishes?" "By showing up, every day if I have to, until you believe me." "Victoria?" She turned off the water, dried her hands. "I meant what I said last night. I'm not running, not this time. I don't care how long it takes or what I have to do. I'm here." Liam wanted to believe her, but trust was hard when you'd already been hurt. "I need more than words," he said quietly. "I know, so tell me what you need." "I don't know yet." "That's okay. I'll wait." She left for work. Liam stood in his empty apartment and tried to figure out what the hell he was supposed to do. The days that followed fell into a pattern. Victoria showed up every morning with coffee. Sometimes she stayed for 5 minutes, sometimes longer. She never pushed, never asked for anything, just showed up and reminded him she was still there. At work, she kept her distance, professional, polite. But Liam caught her watching him sometimes when she thought he wasn't looking. It made something ache in his chest. A week passed. Then 2. Owen started asking when Victoria was coming over for dinner again. Liam kept saying soon, not knowing if it was true. Then everything changed. It was a Tuesday. Liam was at work, buried in reports for his new department, logistics coordination, boring as hell, but steady, when his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. "Hello? Mr. Carter?" A woman's voice, professional but urgent. "This is Mercy General Hospital. Your son was brought in by ambulance about 20 minutes ago." The world stopped. "What?" "He collapsed at school. The paramedics brought him here. He's stable now, but the doctor wants to run some tests." Liam was already grabbing his jacket. "I'm on my way." He didn't remember the drive, didn't remember parking or running through the emergency room doors. Just the nurse pointing him toward a room and Owen lying in a hospital bed, looking so small, an IV in his arm. "Dad!" Liam was at his side in a second. "I'm here, buddy. What happened?" "I don't know. I felt dizzy, and then everything went black." A doctor appeared, introducing herself as Dr. Patel. She explained that Owen had fainted during recess, that his heart rate had been irregular, that they were running tests to figure out why. "Is he going to be okay?" Liam asked, voice shaking. "We don't know yet. We need to rule out some possibilities first." Liam felt like he couldn't breathe. This was his worst fear, the thing that kept him up at night, losing Owen, being alone again. He sat in the chair next to the bed, holding his son's hand, and tried not to fall apart. His phone buzzed. A text from Mark. "Where are you?" Liam ignored it. Then another from Rachel. "We have a meeting in 10 minutes. He ignored that too. Then one from Victoria. "Are you okay?" His fingers trembled as he typed. "Owen's in the hospital, Mercy General." Her response was immediate. "I'm coming." He wanted to tell her not to, wanted to say he could handle it alone. But the truth was, he couldn't. He was terrified, and the thought of her being there made it slightly less unbearable. She arrived 15 minutes later, still in her work clothes, slightly out of breath like she'd run from the parking lot. She stopped in the doorway when she saw Owen. "Hey," Owen said weakly. "Hey." Victoria's voice was soft. She looked at Liam. "What happened?" He told her. Everything the doctor had said, everything they didn't know yet. She listened, then pulled up a chair on the other side of the bed and took Owen's other hand. "You gave us a scare," she said. "I'm okay." "I know, but you're still stuck here for a while, which is boring, so I'm going to stay and keep you company." "You don't have to." "I want to." Liam watched them, something breaking open in his chest. She didn't hesitate, didn't ask if it was okay or if she should leave. Just sat down and stayed. The next few hours were a blur of tests and waiting. Victoria stayed the entire time. She sat with Owen during an EKG, distracting him with stories about her most embarrassing work moments. She held Liam's hand in the hallway while they waited for the doctor to come back. She didn't try to fix anything, just stayed. Finally, Dr. Patel returned. The test came back. It looks like a vasovagal syncope episode, basically a sudden drop in heart rate and blood pressure that caused him to faint. It's not uncommon in kids his age, especially during growth spurts. So he's okay? Liam asked. He's fine. We'll monitor him for a few more hours to be safe, but there's no sign of anything serious. He just needs to stay hydrated and avoid standing up too quickly for a while. Liam felt like he could finally breathe. Thank you. After the doctor left, he sat down heavily in the chair, hands shaking. Victoria moved to stand behind him, her hand on his shoulder. He's okay, she said quietly. I know. You're okay. He nodded, not trusting his voice. Owen fell asleep an hour later, exhausted from the day. Liam and Victoria sat in silence, watching him breathe. I thought I was going to lose him, Liam said finally. When the hospital called, all I could think was that it was happening again, that I was going to lose someone else I loved. Victoria's hand tightened on his. But you didn't. I know. But I can't stop thinking about what if. What if it had been something serious? What if I had to do this alone? You're not alone. He looked at her. I pushed you away, told you I needed time. And I gave it to you. But you're here anyway. Of course I'm here. Her eyes were bright. You think I could stay away? You think I could hear that Owen was in the hospital and not come? Liam, I love you, both of you. That doesn't go away because things got hard. You left before. I know. And I'll regret that for the rest of my life, but I'm not leaving now. I'm not leaving ever. Not unless you tell me to go. Liam felt something shift. Something that had been broken slowly starting to mend. I don't want you to go, he said quietly. Then I'm staying. They sat there in the dim hospital room, holding hands, and Liam let himself believe it. Owen was discharged that evening with instructions to rest and follow up with his regular doctor. Victoria drove them home. Liam carried Owen inside and put him to bed, and when he came back to the living room, Victoria was still there. You don't have to stay, he said. Do you want me to leave? No? Then I'm staying. They sat on the couch, close, but not touching, and Liam tried to put words to what he was feeling. I've been scared, he said. Since Sarah died, I've been scared every single day. Scared of losing Owen. Scared of letting anyone get close. Scared of feeling anything real because I knew how much it would hurt if I lost it again. Victoria listened, her expression open. And then you showed up, he continued. And you made me feel things I thought I was done feeling. You made me want things I thought I couldn't have. And it terrified me. Because what if I let myself love you and then you left? What if I let Owen get attached and then you decided this was too much? Liam, but today when Owen was in the hospital, you were the first person I thought of, the first person I wanted there. And you came. You didn't hesitate. You just came. His voice cracked. I think I've been waiting for you to prove that you'd leave, but instead you keep proving that you'll stay. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I will stay, I promise. I want to believe you. Then let me show you. She took his hand. I know I screwed up. I know I hurt you, but I'm asking you to give me another chance. Let me be part of this. Part of your life, part of Owen's life, for real this time. Liam looked at her, really looked, and saw everything he'd been too afraid to hope for. A future, a family, a second chance at something real. Okay, he said. Okay? I'm giving you another chance. We're giving you another chance. He squeezed her hand. But if you run again, I won't. If you do, we're done. I can't put Owen through that. I understand. He kissed her then, soft and slow, and felt like he was finally coming home. The weeks that followed weren't perfect. They had to figure out how to navigate work, how to explain their relationship to Owen in a way he'd understand, how to balance everything without falling apart. But they figured it out together. Victoria started coming over more often. She'd help with homework, make dinner, still badly, but improving, and read bedtime stories with voices that made Owen giggle. She learned Owen's routines, his favorite foods, the way he needed his stuffed dog positioned just right before he could fall asleep. She became part of their world in ways that felt natural and right. At work, they were careful, professional. But everyone knew. The investigation had concluded with no findings, but the rumors persisted. Some people whispered, others made jokes. Rachel remained frosty, but Victoria handled it with the same calm determination she brought to everything else. One night, about a month after the hospital incident, they were sitting on the couch after Owen had gone to bed. Victoria had her feet tucked under her, leaning against Liam's shoulder. "I have something to tell you," she said. "Okay." "The board offered me a deal. Step down as CEO, take a severance package, and they'll drop any further questions about us." Liam's stomach dropped. "What did you say?" "I told them no." "Victoria, I'm not leaving, not the company, and definitely not you. They can deal with it or they can replace me, but I'm done pretending that my personal life is anyone's business but mine." "That's a huge risk." "I know, but you're worth it. This is worth it." She looked at him. "I spent my whole life building something I thought I wanted, a company, a reputation, success. But none of it means anything if I'm alone. You and Owen, you're what matters. Everything else is just noise." Liam pulled her closer. "I love you. I love you too." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Victoria said, "I've been thinking. About? About the future. About what I want." "And what do you want?" She turned to face him. "I want this every day. I want to be part of your family, for real. Not just someone who comes over for dinner. I want to wake up here and make terrible pancakes and help Owen with his homework. I want all of it." Liam's heart was pounding. "Are you saying what I think you're saying?" "I'm saying I want to move in, if you'll have me." He stared at her. "You want to move in? Here? To this tiny apartment with the leaky faucet and the neighbors who blast music at 2 in the morning? "Yes." "Victoria, you have a penthouse downtown. And it's empty. This place has you. It has Owen. It has a life. I'll take the tiny apartment." Liam felt like his chest might burst. "We'd have to talk to Owen first, make sure he's okay with it." "Of course. And we'd need to figure out logistics, space, your work schedule. We'll figure it out." He kissed her, deep and certain. "Then yes. Move in, please." She smiled against his lips. "Okay." They told Owen the next morning over breakfast. He was eating cereal and half watching cartoons when Liam cleared his throat. "Hey buddy, we need to talk to you about something." Owen looked up, suddenly serious. "Am I in trouble?" "No, nothing like that. Victoria and I wanted to ask you something." Victoria sat down next to Owen. "How would you feel if I lived here? With you and your dad?" Owen's eyes went wide. "Like, all the time?" "Yeah, all the time." He thought about it for a second. Then, "Would you sleep in Dad's room?" Liam felt his face heat. Yeah, probably." "Okay." Owen shrugged and went back to his cereal. "That's it? Just okay?" "Yeah. I like when you're here. It's more fun." He paused, spoon halfway to his mouth. "Can we get a dog now?" Victoria laughed. "We'll talk about it." That's what Dad always says when he means no. "Then we'll talk about it. And actually mean it." Owen grinned. "Cool." And just like that, it was settled. Victoria moved in over the next 2 weeks. She didn't bring much. Most of her furniture stayed in the penthouse, which she kept but rarely used. Just clothes, books, and a ridiculous espresso machine that barely fit on the counter. Owen helped her unpack, showing her where everything went, proudly designating a drawer in the bathroom as Victoria's drawer. It wasn't always smooth. They argued about stupid things, how to load the dishwasher, whose turn it was to take out the trash, whether Owen needed a coat when it was 50 degrees outside. But they worked through it. They learned each other's rhythms, each other's boundaries, each other's soft spots, and slowly they became a family. 3 months later, on a Saturday morning in early spring, Liam woke up to Owen jumping on the bed. "Dad, Victoria, wake up!" Liam groaned. "It's 7 in the morning." "So? It's Saturday. We should do something fun." Victoria sat up, hair a mess, smiling. "What did you have in mind?" "The zoo. Can we go to the zoo?" Liam looked at Victoria. She shrugged. "I've never been to the zoo." How have you never been to the zoo?" "I was a very serious child." "That's sad," Owen said solemnly. "It is," Victoria agreed. "We should fix it." So they went to the zoo. Spent the whole day wandering through exhibits, eating overpriced hot dogs, and watching Owen lose his mind over the penguins. Victoria bought him a stuffed penguin from the gift shop, even though Liam said he didn't need it. He doesn't need it, she said, but he wants it. There's a difference. On the drive home, Owen fell asleep in the back seat, clutching his penguin. Liam glanced over at Victoria. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For this. For all of it. For choosing us." She reached over, laced her fingers through his. "Best choice I ever made." That night, after Owen was asleep, they sat on the couch. Liam had been thinking about something for weeks, building up the courage. He took a breath. "Victoria." "Yeah?" "I want to ask you something." She turned to face him, curious. He didn't have a ring. Hadn't planned some elaborate proposal. Just had the certainty that this was right. That she was right. "Marry me," he said. Her eyes widened. "What?" "Marry me. I know it's fast. I know we've only been together a few months, but I'm sure. I've never been more sure of anything. You're it for me. You and Owen, you're my family, and I want to make it official." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. "Liam, you don't have to answer now. You can think about it. Take as long as you need." "Yes?" He stopped. "Yes?" "Yes, I'll marry you. Of course I'll marry you." He kissed her, and it felt like every broken piece inside him had finally found its place. They got married 2 months later. Nothing fancy, just a small ceremony at the courthouse with Owen as the ring bearer and a handful of close friends. Owen took his job very seriously, carrying the rings on a tiny pillow Victoria had bought specifically for the occasion. When the judge asked if Liam took Victoria to be his wife, he looked at her. This brilliant, complicated woman who'd walked into his life and changed everything, and said yes without hesitation. When Victoria said yes back, her voice steady and sure, Liam felt something he hadn't felt in years. Peace. After the ceremony, they took Owen to the diner he'd picked out months ago, the same one with the pancake sign. They ate breakfast food for dinner, and Owen told everyone they passed that his dad just got married. "Are you happy?" Victoria asked him. "Yeah, this is the best day ever." He paused, syrup on his chin. "Does this mean you're my mom now?" Victoria's breath caught. Liam saw her eyes go bright. I don't want to replace your mom," she said carefully. "She was important. She loved you so much." "I know, but she's not here anymore." Owen said it matter-of-factly, the way only kids could. "And you are. So can you be my mom?" Victoria looked at Liam. He nodded, throat tight. "Yeah," she said softly. "I can be your mom." Owen smiled and went back to his pancakes like he hadn't just changed everything. Life settled into a new normal after that. They moved to a bigger apartment, nothing extravagant, but enough space for all of them. Victoria scaled back her hours at work, delegated more, and made it home for dinner most nights. Liam got promoted, leading a team now instead of just surviving one. Owen thrived, made friends, brought home art projects that covered every available surface. They weren't perfect. They still argued sometimes, still had bad days, still struggled with balancing work and home and everything in between. But they had each other, and that made all the difference. One night, about a year after they got married, Liam stood in the doorway of Owen's room, watching him sleep. Old habit, old fear. But it felt different now, less like bracing for loss and more like being grateful for what he had. Victoria appeared beside him, slipping her hand into his. "He's okay," she whispered. "I know. So are you." Liam turned to her, this woman who'd saved him without even trying. "I really am." They stood there together, watching their son sleep, and Liam thought about how far they'd come. About the broken man who'd started a new job terrified of losing everything again. About the lonely woman who'd forgotten how to feel. About the life they'd built from pieces of loss and fear and hope. It wasn't the life he'd imagined when he was younger. Wasn't the perfect story with the perfect ending. But it was real. Messy and complicated and absolutely worth fighting for. Because here's what Liam had learned. Love isn't about never being afraid. It's about being afraid and choosing to stay anyway. It's about showing up every single day, even when it's hard. It's about letting people in, even when you've been hurt before. It's about building something new from the wreckage of what you lost. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you get a second chance. A chance to choose differently, to love openly, to build a family not in spite of the pain, but because of it. Victoria squeezed his hand and Liam smiled. They'd made it. All three of them. Through the fear and the doubt and the moments when it felt like everything would fall apart, they'd made it to the other side. And for the first time in years, Liam wasn't just surviving, he was living.